This Unit 3 and 4 mini lesson is all about calculating a markdown. This will help you with your Shopping Basics mini lesson in IntelliPath. What is a markdown? A markdown refers to a reduction in the price or value of a merchandise or service. Why is this so important? Why should you learn how to calculate the discount or markdown on a merchandise or service? So that you can avoid being overcharged or to check the validity of a final sales price when a discount is applied. We all shop every day, so understanding markdowns, understanding what a sale means is very important. So how do I calculate a markdown? Markdown equals the rate of the markdown. So if something's 25% off, the rate is 0.25. If something is 10% off, the rate is 0.10. The rate of the markdown times the original selling price. That's your markdown amount. How do I calculate the sale price? The sale price equals the original selling price minus the markdown. Let's look at an example. Your favorite clothing store is having a sale. You have your eye on a pair of jeans that were originally $62 but are now marked 25% off. What is the total markdown amount? What is the final sales price of the jeans? So let's look at the total markdown amount first. The markdown, or discount, remember, equals the rate of the markdown times the original selling price. So in this example, we're going to take our markdown as 0.25, right? That's 25% as a decimal, times $62. So on our calculator, if we take 0.25 times 62, we get a total of $15.50. Now this is not the price of the jeans. This is the amount we get to take off from the original price. This is the discount. So the final sales price of the jeans equals $62, the original price, minus our discounted amount, minus the markdown, which is $15.50. That gives us a final price of $46.50. Sometimes we're offered a series markdown. A series markdown, also known as a chain markdown, is when a retailer deducts 2 or more successive discounts, one at a time, that's very important, from the original price of an item. There are 2 different methods to calculate the final selling price of a series markdown. Method 1 takes a bit more time, but we're going to go through that first to really give you an understanding of how to calculate markdowns. And then method 2 is the quicker method, which you'll probably want to use once you get the hang of this. Let's look at an example using the first method. We're going to go back to our clothing store sale, where you're looking at a pair of jeans that were originally $62 but are marked 25% off. We're going to change things up a bit because now the store is offering an additional 15% off if you use your store credit card to purchase your items. So now we want to know, what is our total markdown amount? What's our discounted amount? Remember, we've got a 25% off and now an additional 15% off. And then finally, we'll ask, what is the final sales price of the jeans? One thing to keep in mind, we are not going to add the 25% and the 15% to give us 40% off. I'll show you how we're going to calculate our markdown. So what we're going to do is calculate our first markdown and then get our reduced price, take that, and calculate our second markdown. So the first discount is 25% or 0.25. To find our markdown, just as we did a few slides ago, we take 0.25 times 62 and we get $15.50. That means we're going to take the $62, subtract off the $15.50 to get an initial sales price of $46.50. From there, we're going to apply the second markdown of 15% to get the new selling price. So we take our 0.15 times the $46.50, and that gives us a markdown of $6 and about 98 cents. What is the final sales price of the jeans? The final sales price is found by taking the $46.50 and subtracting off the $6.98. That gives us a final amount of $39.53. So caution, it is a common misconception to add all of the percentages together to get the total markdown. As I stated in our last example, we do not want to add that 25% and the 15% to give us a 40% discount on the original selling price of the jeans. We first took the 25% markdown. Only that first discount is taken from the original selling price. Additional discounts are taken from the sale prices. Now let's look at our example using method 2. A faster way to solve a series of markdowns is to find the net decimal equivalent of the markdowns and then multiply that by the original price. The net decimal equivalent is the product of the complements of each markdown rate. So in our example, we had a markdown of 25%, which means the markdown rate was 0.25. What is the complement of 0.25? To find the complement of a decimal, you take 1, which is 100%, minus your percentage. So 100% minus 25% is 75%, or 0.75. So when we're talking about decimal, right, net decimal equivalent, we're going to take 1 minus 0.25 to get the 0.75. We're also going to take 1 minus 0.15 for that 15% additional discount. 1 minus 0.15 is 0.85. So to calculate the net decimal equivalent, we take the complement of each discount, and I've done that here. Complements of my discounts are 0.75 and 0.85. I multiply those together. It's the product of the complements. Multiply those together and we get 0.6375. That's our net decimal equivalent. I then use that net decimal equivalent and multiply it by the original selling price to find our final sale price. So the jeans were originally $62. I take that 62 times my net decimal equivalent of 0.6375 and we get $39.53. Notice this is exactly the final amount we got using method 1, but this is much quicker.